Alright, so, I just finished another foreign drama on Netflix. Here we go again with Nay jumping off the bed as soon as I turn on the camera for whatever reason. Anyway, so, yeah, it's the light's dark. It's, like, almost 6 o'clock, and just too lazy to turn on lights. I just kind of want to get my review out. So, oh, a second. Here. So it's on Netflix, and it's called Eternal Love, but I guess it also goes by, what was it? 3 Lives, 3 Worlds, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. Anyway, so it's got 58 episodes. It's on Netflix. I just, like, they do leave a few things off, and I just looked at the Wikipedia page, and apparently there are 2 other shows. One clearly has to do with one of the relationships there, which is, I believe, I don't know if it's gonna have all, like, a bunch of other, like, it's just like the main couple in this one. It was Bai Chen and Yeehaw. I butchered those names, I'm sorry. And I think in the other one was called, like, Eternal Love and Dream, and then another one was, like, Love and Destiny or something like that. Like, go to the Wikipedia page. Just type in Eternal Love, the TV show. It'll show up. Anyway, so there's, like, 2 shows. One looks like it carries on with Emperor Lord and Fengju. Because I saw a picture of them. Or what I saw was, like, it looked like a picture of, like, him and, like, a kid in front of him that looked very much like him. Like, you only get to see the back of the kid, but he had, like, white hair, so I'm assuming it was his kid. But then I finished the show, but none of that happened. So I was like, did he just look similar? Or is it, like, an exclusive episode to, like, a DVD box set or something? Like, I've seen the anime do that shit, and, like, maybe they do too. But no, it looks like there's an entire series of that, and then there's another one, and I don't know who the other one is. I have a very vague hankering. Like, the first thought in my head when I saw them was, I wonder if that's supposed to be this dude and this girl. But they were so briefly in the one I just watched, so I was like, okay, maybe I could see it well, but at the same time, I could see other characters be more important. But, would you sit down, little goose? No, don't mess up the bed. Sit down. Thank you. Anyway, so, this one, I haven't seen the other 2, and I want to watch them, maybe down the road, but I guarantee you I will forget about them, unfortunately. So hopefully I'll be somehow reintroduced to them later on. Anyway, so we're just talking about Eternal Love, and it is about, would you sit down? Nay, stop and sit down, please. Thank you. Anyway, so it's about, oh god, I cannot pronounce their names. Well, it kind of follows, like, certain, like, you know how, like, in anime there are, like, arcs? Like, it kind of feels like that, where you have, like, the Kunlun Mountain arc, and then you kind of have, the after, like, Kunlun Mountain, and then there's, like, the war, and then there's, like, Mortal and Susu, and then there's, like, the after effects of Susu turning into Baikwin, or, like, going into Baikwin's events is what I mean, and then, so on and so forth. Anyway, so basically it is a love story, a love supernatural type of thing that takes place in the realm of the gods. Our main character, her real name is Baichen. Oh fuck, I cannot for the life of me pronounce these names. But I think it's spelled B-I, B-A-I space, it's like Q-U-A-N, or maybe there's an I in that one. It's foreign. I'm an idiot. I can't pronounce normal people's names sometimes, let alone foreign names. Anyway, so it's about her, and we open with, well, I guess I should give, like, a kind of a vague description of the show. So basically, it's about this love that kind of carries on multiple generations in multiple lifetimes. But anyway, so the vast majority of the show takes place in, like, the realm of the gods. There are a few parts where they go to the mortal world, but for the most part, they're like in magical land, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know. And there's a lot of like romantic intrigue. I say the best thing to describe this show is there's a lot of focus on jealousy and obsession. But definitely, like, obsession is like the biggest carrying thing for the entire show. If you don't like characters that can't let shit go and take a hint, this show's gonna irritate you. So that's the very gist, is kind of like her life and how it unfolds, and she ends up with the dude. Anyway, so going into more details, we start off in she goes to Kunlun Mountain, which is like the sacred place, to be the disciple of Mo Yun, who is the god of war. And it's pretty obvious from the get-go, he has feelings for her. She, on the other hand, does not realize this, ever. So, in case you're wondering. And it's not so much a spoiler that, like, she never finds out. It's like, judging from his character and the events that happened in his show, you would be more surprising if he did tell her at some point. So, I feel like I kind of ruined it, but at the same time didn't, because it's kind of obvious he was never going to tell her. Just kind of like how he carries himself, you know? So, she's accepted, and the reason she goes there in the first place is because she was kind of very mischievous and troublesome when she was a kid, and they want to kind of, like, shove her over there to behave, essentially, like, hoping it'll kind of, like, she'll become more mature. So, but it's clear he always knew she was a girl, so she disguises herself as a boy, becomes a disciple, and then events unfold from there. She does have more than one romance in a lifetime, which is nice. It's not just the same person through all of time. Like, no. She does like this other person first. And just, it's really good. But, this show made me cry a lot, especially at the end. The most frustrating thing for me is, obviously, I get really attached to characters and really deep in the shows, and it really affects me emotionally. I will start sobbing. I'll, like, actively wish harm to certain characters when they irritate me. And that was especially true for two characters who have a very similar... They're both villains, they're both women, and they're both obsessed. Like I said, it carries pretty much everywhere in the show. There's some type of obsession. There's, you know... At first we have... she goes by Segan first, as a disguise, and then we later find out her name is Myquin. But so she goes by Segan, and she's obsessed with her master, but it's things that happen that she wants to try and fix. It's not that she's in love with him. Like, she loves him, but it's more like as you would, like, really love a teacher, or like a parent, or like a family member that you, like, really look up to, type of thing. And then there's, you know, she ends up falling in love, and then that ends up going south because of one of the characters, and then, like, a lot of bad shit happens to these people. And the kind of most infuriating thing is, like, there's one character that kind of does get, like, an apology, where he's like, I wronged you, so that was nice to see, but at the same time, I kind of wish they did that for her, because they fucked her over greatly in this show. She gets fucked over quite a bit. Like, some horrible shit happens to her, and just is, oh god, it made me cry so hard. Like, I literally just finished it, like, wipe my face, like, as you can tell, like, I'm red. Probably have gunk in my eye that I've tried to get rid of, that I wasn't smart enough to get rid of, apparently. Ugh. But, like, my face is raw. There are certain things, this is more spoilery, but there are certain, well, this is greatly spoilery. So this is, here, let me just do something real quick, and then I'll go into the, like, the spoilers that would ruin great details of events. So yeah, basically it's a show about a lot of people. Like, there's no real grand thing. Like, these are very selfish people doing selfish things. Is that gonna make sense? Like, it's not just, I have to do this for the world. Like, there are those moments, yes. But a lot of the times it's like, I'm doing this because I don't like you. I don't like that this person likes you. Like, one of the people is Sujin, and it's very obvious from the start that... get some light there from Roku. Sorry, just went into sleep mode. But it's very obvious from the start. She likes Yihua. And it's pretty fucking obvious from the flashback we get. He just finds her annoying. Like, he actively just ignored her. The entire fucking time. It was like, a lot of these shows, there's like, they're really kind, and you can see how they fell in love. And then they, like, accidentally give mixed singles. Like, no, it's pretty fucking obvious. Because he ignores you all the fucking time. Like, he didn't hate her, but it was quite clear he just found her annoying. There was no hope whatsoever that she could have gotten in her fucking mind that he liked her. Like, this is some delusional shit on her part. She's just, like... Also, it's creepy, because, like, she's older than him, and, like, met him when he was a baby. And she was already, like, not super old, but, like, under 10. Like, I would say, like, maybe 7 or 8. It was, like, young. But still, like, he was a baby, dude. Still kind of weird. I mean, a lot of the shows, there are a lot of dynamics where characters are older than the person that likes them. Or they like the person that's older than them. Like, that's true for, Moyeon liked Sian, or Baekhyun main character. And quite clearly she's younger than him. And then she ends up engaged to Yihua through an arranged marriage, and he's younger than her. Which she doesn't really like. Like, she treats him kind of like a kid most of the time. Like, not like babies him or anything. Like, she just kind of actively is kind of just treating how like a grown-up would treat like a kid that's infatuated with them that they kind of just have to put up with. Like, kind of being very honest, like, I don't really like you. Kind of gonna have to get married anyway, though. Like, she's not super cool to him, but it's pretty obvious that she does kind of treat it as like a teenager's infatuation with her. Like, it's quite clear he's older than a teenager. Like, he's probably in his fucking 20s. Like, late 20s. But still. Anyways. Oh, God. Went on a tangent. I forgot what I was talking about in the first place. Oh, yeah, Sujin. So, yeah, she's one of the biggest antagonists, and she's right there from the get-go to pretty much the very end. We do have another antagonist that's not there as long, but she also has a big impact. I think her name is pronounced Janu. But like I said, I can't pronounce these fucking names for the life of me. Especially if there's an X in anyone's name, I don't know anything. My brain is like, how do you make it sound? Anyway, which is kind of sad because there's one in my name, but at the same time, like, that's a different language. I don't know which languages it's. I very briefly was looking at like how many episodes, and hey, there's like another show and that kind of thing on Wikipedia, like I just said. I think they said maybe it was in Mandarin. I don't know. Like I said, I just very briefly glanced for like a second, so my eye just caught it out of the corner of my eye. My eye caught it out of the corner. Like, I caught it out of the corner of my eye. You know what I mean? So I didn't like actually look, but I think it might have said Mandarin. But yeah, so it's just, she bugs me. Because it's very obvious. Like, the most irritating thing is these two characters for me, because, like, it's very obvious from the get-go the people they like and obsess over do not fucking like them and like someone else. It's very fucking obvious, and they're told at this point. Several times. But they never get a hint. So if you don't like those characters, you're actively going to be like, fuck off, please. Fuck off, please. Get them off the screen. I want to see the other characters, please. So that was greatly me. Anytime they came on screen, I was like, oh, fuck, not these people again. Go away. I want to talk about the other people. But, like, yeah, it's very much that type of show where there's characters that you're just like, why can't you take a hint? It's probably the biggest thing. But otherwise, it's really good. I would definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. Just search Eternal Love. You should find it. I don't know. Like, it's on, I assume we're using the American version because we're in fucking America. And I know that, or recently I've known or come to know that Netflix, there are certain versions of it, and some versions don't have certain shows. So my version, the American version, has this show. I don't know if any other shows, or if it's on or not on other versions of Netflix. Does that make sense? But just type in Eternal Love, you should find it. If not, just type in Eternal Love and you'd see type in Eternal Love on Wikipedia and it'll say TV series, and that should lead you to it, and maybe you can just find it however way you're gonna find it. I don't know. Like, I don't know where to find these shows other than just like with the services I already have. So I can't say, heck, go here, or you can find this on so and so. So I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. Just good luck if you find it. Hope you enjoy it. Now, I'm going to go deep into spoilers about what I liked and didn't like. Just kind of any other thoughts I have about the show. So if you don't want any more spoilers, then I would just, I don't know, put this in like your watch later tab or something. I don't know. Okay, so they do a few things I liked. Like, I liked that we saw, we actually got to see Baikwin and Yanzi, the Ghost Princess. Like, they get to see each other for like a second. That's kind of nice. We get to see that the kid is doing okay. That's also nice. Her brother's kid. And, okay, basically what happened was Zhenu... Okay, Xian falls in love with Legion, who is the second son of the Ghost King, and there ends up being a war between the tribes later on. The Ghost King decides he wants to take over all the realms, so of course him and Heaven fight, and Xian gets mixed into it, and Mo-Yen dies, and she tries to bring him back. That's her obsession at first, is like I was saying, I was talking about obsessions, and this big thing in the show is her obsessive need to bring him back to life. She does end up doing this. And then, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, like, it was nice to kind of see, like, oh yeah, I have this, and then, like, the second prince of the Ghost Tribe is in love with Xian, or Baikwin is our main character, the female main character, and, like, they're about to start a romance. Like, it's kind of like he kind of woos her, and then he thinks mistakenly that she loves Mo-Yen, her master this guy wore. That's not the case. It's one-sided on Mo-Yen's part, but he doesn't know that. And then Zhenu, being jealous bitch, she doesn't know Xian is Baikwin, who is her, I think, her cousin or something. But so she kind of just woos, like, she said she falls in love with him at first sight, but I don't think that's the case. Like, it felt more like she was just kind of doing it because she wanted someone to like her as much. Like, she saw someone getting something she wanted and decided to take it for herself, if that makes sense. So, Baikwin hasn't, or Xian at this point in time, hasn't figured out that she likes him. And she kind of realizes at the last minute, okay, I do like him, and she goes to tell him and finds him on top of her, Zhenu. Now, he thought she loved Mo-Yen, so he was wallowing, and the one thing I did like about his character is he was very consistent. Like, even before he met her, there was something painful that happened in his past. His mom died, obviously. He has to live with this. And he kind of always self-medicated with wine and women. So that's always carried throughout the show. So that's what he does, thinking she doesn't love him. She's in love with someone else. He can never have her. So he, of course, goes to wine and women. So it's part of him going to that, his crutch. And also, Zhenu tricking him by using, by putting it into his head that, like, oh, she likes Mo-Yen, she doesn't like you. Like, she's actively feeding into that. He thinks maybe she likes it, and she's like actively like, yeah, they're together. And then also waiting until he's drunk, and then kind of seducing him by using magic to look like Xian, who she does the entire show. Is Baikwin, or Xian, well, she's known as Baikwin, is seen as kind of like the most beautiful woman in all the realms, and Zhenu is jealous of her for this, because she's a princess, she's going to be the next queen of this place. There's a bunch of different realms, like there's a ghost realm, there's heaven, there's, Jinchu, is that what you call it? And that's where she's gonna reign. And, so she's very jealous of her. Which is kind of, like, I can understand her jealous, but at the same time, she's kind of like the nicest person to her. like actively told her, she's like, I don't like my face. She's like, what are you talking about? You're beautiful. And then she's like, basically just goes on, she doesn't really like her face. So Baikwin teaches her, you know, if you don't like your face, why don't you, if it makes you happy, you can use mine. Just don't do anything bad or it will come back to bite you. And she's basically kind of just always wearing a mask that looks like her forever then. Like at the very last bit, when it does come back to bite her, you do see her like original face. But for the most part, she's always wearing a veil of not exactly like Baikwin, but like very much like her. Because she just does not like the way she looks. So she kind of steals her identity to seduce him. And then she comes in to like, because I think her brothers say, well, they think that naturally he's a boy, so they think that that she likes Zhenu, when really she likes, you know, Legion. And she ends up kind of like catching them in the act, or well, almost in the act. Like they're getting there, but no clothes are removed yet. And quite clearly, it's devastating for her. So she ends up hating both of them, but lets them go. Doesn't like retaliate anyway, just fucking lets them go because they don't want a war. Well, war ends up happening anyway. And Zhenu betrays Heaven Clan, who he thinks she's part of the Heaven Clan. Heaven Clan and Ghost Clan can't mix because there used to be war and then there was peace. Now they're fucking starting another war again because the king is greedy as hell. The Ghost King. He wants to just take over everything. He doesn't fucking care about anything but himself. You later find out. His kids, his wife doesn't fucking care about any of them. He'll actively use everyone. Because that's another big thing in the show is he, you know, his presence. So, yeah. God damn, where's it going? Oh yeah, why? I was talking about this. So that's the backstory, basically. So I did like that we do see Zhenu die. I do like that we see the sick kid get better. And, oh, that's why. Okay, so the reason the kid was sick is because she, like, even after marrying, like, betraying Heaven Clan and marrying into the Ghost Realm as Legion's wife, he kind of did it to, like, not wrong her, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. But kind of, like, out of responsibility and pity, more than anything. But he still quite actively loves Tien. All these years, to the day he dies, he loves her, only her. And so, in a desperate attempt to kind of, like, she's always trying to make him like her. And she has a, once again, kind of doing much further on down the line. Like, she'll send women that look vaguely like her, like her, to kind of, like, seduce him. And then if one of them happens to get pregnant, she's like, you go die now. And she kind of, he gets drunk again. She does the same bullshit she did in the first place. She magically, you know, makes him think she's Tien for a second again. And seduces him, she gets pregnant this time. And then, of course, because Heaven Clan and the Ghost Clan are incompatible, she's kind of like in a miscarriage or something. Like, she's going to lose the baby. But she doesn't want to do that, so she contacts the Switch Doctor, who's actively throughout this entire fucking time. He's very shortly in the show, but he's like, don't just, like, lose the baby. We can't save the baby. You're gonna ruin everything. You'll kill yourself. And she's like, use forbidden magic. And he's like, no, because you're gonna have a problem with the kid. And she's just fucking makes him. He ends up dying later. I'm assuming you just see him dragged off. You never see if he dies or not. I'm assuming he did. So he helps her by using forbidden magic, like he's forced into it. And so she does give birth to the kid, but it's sick. Like it's not like, they're pretty sure it's dead. Like, anyone that sees the kid is like, that thing is dead. It's dead. And no, the baby does get saved in the end, is what I was trying to say. Sorry, I had to tell you, like, the whole thing, otherwise you're like, well, sick child, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a very long rant, I'm sorry. But so I like that we saw that kid is doing good. I also like that you see, while Emperor Lord and Fangju cannot be together, who, like I said, I think they're the couple that's in one of the other ones, the other, like, spin-offs or whatever. That, like, in this one, they can't really be together, but she does get her answer that, you know, if your name was not removed from the Rock of 3 Incarnations or whatever, would you have loved me? And he said yes. So she kind of gets her answer there, and we also get to see her become queen. She is, like, the niece of Baikwin. So we get to see that. And then we also do get to see, like, I wanted to see, the biggest thing was Yeehaw and Baikwin's marriage. I wanted to see them get married, but we didn't see that, unfortunately. At least not in this one. Like I said, I haven't seen the other two. Maybe it happens there. I don't know. And then also, what else? We do get to see, like, Baikwin and her fourth brother go to the mortal world. Kind of just, they're traveling around for 3 years after she thinks, or everyone thinks Yeehwa is dead. And, yeah, spoiler, he's not. And, you get to see that Sujin finally does get punished for all the shit she does. She gets sent to, well, at first, what happens is Baikwin gets her memories back because what happens is she has, the war with the Ghost Lord, her master steals him in the fucking bell. And then he almost breaks out, so she steals him again. She manages to live, but he turns her into a mortal. And she doesn't remember any of her memories or anything like that. And then that's when Yeehwa first meets her, as a human in the human world. And she kind of, like, saves him. And kind of, like, treats his wounds, and he wants to go to repay her debt. The debt for, you know, like, trying to save him at least. But he ends up falling in love with her. And then, bunch of horrible shit happens to her in heaven, and she commits suicide. But of course, she's not actually a human, so she fucking lives, and she remembers everything. And then she asks someone to make an amnesia potion for her because it was supposed to be like her trial to become a high goddess or whatever. Like, you take certain trials and then you get better status. I don't know. They never really go over the system very much. And so that was supposed to be like it was a love trial she had to go through to become a high goddess. And she decides she was so miserable, she doesn't want to remember. So she gets an amnesia potion, she doesn't remember anything. Where the fuck am I going on this anyway? Oh fuck, I seriously can't remember why I was going on this thing. Like, what was I talking about? Shit. I honestly can't remember. Anyway. Hopefully I'll remember by the end of this goddamn review. If not, maybe I'll eventually, if I remember down the line, I'll go in the description and say, oh, you know, this is the fuck I was talking about. So otherwise, it's an accidental cliffhanger. I'm sorry. But I wanted to see, what else? I wanted to see their marriage. I wanted to just, oh, yeah. I was talking about how Sujin finally gets what's coming to her. It takes forever for it to happen, though. Forever. Oh, yeah. So this horrible shit happens, and the reason she committed suicide is because, kind of like with Zhenu, Sujin was making her think that he did not love her, but in fact, the reason she didn't have her name, so he called her Susu, and she was like, there's like this mirror, and like, kind of, basically she tricks her into thinking that he named her after Sujin, because they had like love affairs, like, they were never fucking together, ever. Basically, she did the same thing as Zhenu, just like, the difference between the two of them is more, Zhenu is kind of more vicious with the way she goes about things. Like, she kind of does it on a mood, whereas in Sujin will kind of like wait and maliciously plan things. And don't get me wrong, they both make a lot of dumb mistakes, but like, she plans it more. So think of her as like a more like, I'll wait and get my revenge type of character. A little bit more, you know, than Regina, where she's like, I'm gonna fuck you up right now, bitch, I don't like you. But that's kind of like the culture, because in Heaven Clan, there's a lot of rules. You have to like abide by a lot of rules. You can't like, think of it as like, you have to be like on a pedestal all the time. You gotta be like you can't make a fool of yourself, you can't act shamelessly, you follow a lot of rules. Whereas in Shinshu, again, I put any pronunciation of everything, I'm sorry, it's much more relaxed. Like in Heaven Clan, they use a lot of magic. In Shinshu, they just go about it without using much magic. They kind of just do things like cooking. Like, he says, well, why don't you just use magic? She's like, well, we wouldn't have anything to fucking do then. Like, to just kind of do me, like, random shit. Like, there's differences between the clans, that's what I'm trying to say. Whereas in Heaven Clan, you had to be, like, more repressed with your emotions. With in Shinshu, it's a little bit more acceptable to be open about your emotions. So that's another big thing that plays into the show. So yeah, basically Sujin does a little fucked up shit, finally gets punished for it, and she gets sent to the, well, first Baikun just takes her eyes, because she loses her eyes because of Sujin. Or rather, what happens is Sujin makes them think that, as Susu, she tried to push her down this portal, which she later jumps to her death for. Susu jumps to her death, commits suicide with that portal. And this is kind of my biggest gripe, is because, like, at the time she was very pregnant. She's immortal against an immortal who has fucking magic. And she always had bad direction. Like, she would get lost in the fucking forest all the time. Even as a goddess. Still has a bad case of directions. So, the thing is, biggest thing is, like, somehow one, like, how the fuck did she take you to this portal? Everyone, like, this was an infamous spot full of, like, bad energy. It had a bad name to it. No one would go there. None of the immortals would go there. Yet this random person who knows nothing about heaven was able to lead your ass there when she could barely fucking move. She was so pregnant and tired all the time. And managed to push you out of a hole. Like, it's one of those things, like, I can understand why they would take her, like, the goddess side, but at the same time it's like, how the fuck did she even get there? How the fuck would you, who all the gods know this place is very infamous, so they would immediately, like, go down this path and go, wait, that's the place. Like, before you even got to the place, they would fucking know you're headed in that direction. Whereas Susu doesn't know any of this. She has no memories. And she, even as Baikun, she had never been to heaven at that time. She had never been to heaven yet. Like, one time she was in heaven. Like, one time for, like, a second. But, like, she just kind of followed her master that time, so she just, like, she didn't fucking go anywhere. She just, like, went to a meeting and then went back. So there's a lot of things where it's just like, how are they so dumb? Like, even if you don't believe her and you don't like the girl, you'd still be like, that doesn't quite make sense. So there's a lot of that that's irritating, and a lot of events I wish we got to see but didn't. Is basically where I'm getting at. But we do see, she was supposed, what she does, she takes back her eyes, because she ruins her eyes because of, she was pissed, and she framed her, Yuha, in order to kind of spare her life, but give justice to Sujin, is to take her eyes and give them to Sujin, who had ruined her eyes, doing this fake attempt to make it look like she was pushed off. And so what Baikun does when she gets her memories back is flies up there, rips them out of her, while she's as a fan to slice them out of her fucking head, says, you're giving me my eyes back, and then leaves. Like, considering how mad and all the horrible shit she had done, the fact that she only just took your eyes and told you to go and admit your sins and then go guard the fucking bell, she got off easy. No, she ends up finally getting exposed for her bullshit. And she gets, so they said, okay, we will send you down to guard the bell, and of course she fucking runs. So she doesn't do her job, so she's incarnated as immortal, and we see her later when, like I said, Baikun thinks Yiha's dead, so she's kind of traveling around for 3 years, just kind of moping with her brother, just, you know, traveling, and then, you kind of see her for like a second, and there's like a big commotion, and it's a guy saying, you're a horrible person, we're getting divorced, you chased my wife away from me, you seduced another man, you're a whore, and just fucking don't ever see me again. And then, yeah. So I kind of glad we got to see that, but there are certain things I wish we did see that we didn't. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it is a good show, I would definitely check it out. I'm going to go watch more stuff. I don't know what I'm going to watch, but I'm going to watch something.